There's a pattern that happens before every single meme coin explodes. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Look at this, the exact pattern every single time. See these dips? 60%, 70%, 80%. The other day, I literally used this exact pattern to print $8,500 in just a couple of hours, and I'm using it right now to find the next one. And here's what nobody is telling you. This system works and it isn't luck. I'm going to explain the system, and in the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. But let me guess how you're trading right now. You see a coin pumping on Twitter, everyone's talking about it, FOMO kicks in, you buy the top, it dumps 70% from there, you panic sell, it bottoms out, it consolidates, and then it bounces up without you, and you are left in a loss when the coin went right back to where you had bought it or even goes to new all-time highs. Sound familiar? Well, here is the uncomfortable truth, unfortunately. Most people lose money when they're trading low-cap coins because they do not have an exit strategy. They're trading on emotions. They're just looking at FOMO, trying to get into the top, and they end up round tripping or losing all of their money again and again and again. Now, I used to do the exact same thing until I found out one strategy that changed my trading and has made me hundreds of thousands of dollars this cycle. And every coin I've 10x, Dust, Zeus, Lofi, Hood, Valor have all gone through this exact process. And like I said, once I cracked the code and understood the system, everything changed for me. Okay, so this system has three parts. The 60 to 80% dip rule, that's when I enter. The 3 confirmation signals, that's how I know that it's real. And my 3-tier exit strategy, so that I can always take profits and not round trip any gains. Now, if I follow these rules in this system, my win rate is over 70% over the last year. And when I break these rules, I always end up round tripping or losing money. So let me walk you through some of the trades that I've taken using this exact strategy and how it worked out for me so you can implement it for yourself. So rule number 1, if I'm ever going to buy a low cap meme coin, I'm just going to use useless because it's one of the coins that I have just started to accumulate now at these levels. So this is a 3-month chart, or I'm going to pull up the 6-month chart actually. It's going to take a second to load. But nonetheless, this chart went to about a $400 million market cap. And the only time I'm going to buy is that if it's at least 60% down from all-time high. So right now it is about 76%. Obviously the market's on a big correction. So this is going to be a little bit different because we're having additional sell pressure. But I only want to buy into coins, especially lower cap meme coins, things that have more speculation, if they're on a 60 to 80% dip, because I'm going to get the best entries. Now, if you do this on a coin that just launched, for example, we can look at something like Bold. This launched at a $7 million market cap. Everyone was talking about it. It has so much hype. Did we bid it right on the rip on launch? No. Why? Because everybody else was waiting to get into this coin also. And if you are doing the same things as everyone else, you're going to get the same results, which is oftentimes not very good. So we did not end up bidding this right off the rip. We ended up waiting for a massive dip. So if I go and I take my ruler, you guys can do this as well. I'm going to draw it down. And we actually entered the first time around a $4 million market cap, which is right around here. Now, obviously this is not quite 60% and we actually entered too early. On this particular one, we entered around 4 million, but really, if we followed this perfectly, we should have entered around a $2.9 million market cap instead of a 4. We would have been in significantly more profits. So I should have waited actually another 5% to enter, even though I did it in this trade. So another example of this is going to be something like Ghost. So Ghost, for example, never gave us an entry that we wanted, unfortunately. It just ran and ran and ran and ran. And so I started to set alerts. So I, missed the initial run up over here. And then what I ended up doing is just drawing down, and I waited for this massive 50 to 60% crash. And then you're able to grab this bounce. And often these bounces are about 100% bounce. So basically like a 2x. Now you can do this again by drawing down and seeing that this dip again is about an 80% dip here, and then it bounced on average again about a 3x from here. And if you look at this on Valor, the exact same thing happened again. It had its first massive dip that you could have bought. That was about 60% down, and then it bounced up 100%. And then on the last dip, it went down about 85%, and then bounced up about 3x from there. So on the first dip of very strong coins, you want to bid at about 50 to 60% on the dip. And when they fully break, you want to be buying 80% to 85% dips because they usually bottom out where they actually launched. So if I look at it, first started consolidating around $1.8 million, which is initially where we got into Baylor. And then the most optimal time to rebuy your position was at about the same price that it ended up consolidating at when we first got into it, which is really good because obviously then it ended up pumping 3x. Okay. So why is this? It is inherently way easier to wait for 50 to 80% dips than to try and chase the top, because if coins are launched with a lot of hype, there's going to be a lot of people you're competing with to try and get entries. And obviously, unless the coin does something like Ghost where it just goes up immediately, you know what I mean? Like there's not a massive opportunity to get allocated. And if you miss this initial run up, then you end up oftentimes getting just absolutely wrecked. Okay. And so when I find a good coin with a good narrative, so like Ghost or like Fog or like anything like this, then I'm just setting my alerts and I'm waiting for a 50 to 60% dip. So I already know on Fog, like I want to get allocated again. So right now we are at a 53% dip. So I want to enter ideally right about 60 to 70%. I want to enter right around this $4 million mark. And if I zoom out and go way back, I can see this would be, it started consolidating here and it launched just around here. Obviously this doesn't really count as launched because this is all supply control, but around this $2.93 million mark is ideally where I want to buy it. If I pull my ruler down, then this would give me like a 60-ish% dip, give or take. Okay. Now, I don't care how long it takes. It could be weeks. It could take days. You know, it kind of depends. But there's a good narrative here, and this is that Foxhop was a privacy meta. A lot of privacy coins like Zcash ended up doing 2,000% in the last couple of weeks here. So like this chart's obviously insane. But again, like you want to be bidding things that fit the current meta, and this was an insane run up, right? 700%. So what I want to be doing here is just making sure they're being strong coins on massive dips. Okay. And the important thing here is that you also want to be waiting every single time. And you can do this also on another coin that I did this with called Zeus. So there was actually at the time, Zeus was Pepe's dog. So Matt Fury was the one who created Pepe. He had a dog. It was named Zeus. It was Pepe was around a $3 billion market cap at the time. So the narrative was basically if Pepe's worth like $3 billion, then this would be worth like a small fraction. I was aiming for 100 million. But it was basically a beta play that made a whole lot of sense. Now, at the time, there's actually two different Zeus coins that launched, and they both had different teams. They were basically PvPing each other, and that basically means they're fighting each other for attention and which one is actually going to win. One was at a $5 million market cap at the time. At the time, this is when it launched. It was at like a $1.8 million market cap right around here. This was the other one, this one right here. And at the time, I had bought both. One was at a $5.5 million market cap. One was at a $1.8 million market cap, and I bought both as a hedged bet. Now, the one at a $5 million market cap, which ended up being this one, had a lot more volume. I knew the team better. It was a much stronger coin, had a lot more social media buzz, but initially it obviously had like massive dips along the way. And you can even see like if you didn't get entries here, even this dip was around 37%. And then this dip, if you missed your allocation, this was like a 50% dip. So you can always buy on 50% dips because it's going to do extremely well. And when it hit 37% on the first dip, it wasn't enough. So I waited, and then it dipped more and more and more. And then we got the 50% dip, and then my alert fired, but I needed confirmation. Okay. So before every single time I enter into a dip, I'm checking three things if I'm going to go in with size. Okay. So the first signal is the narrative still alive? Meaning that are people still agreeing across social media that this is a good narrative, that Matt Fury's dog or Pepe's dog should be worth hundreds of thousands, should be worth multiple millions of dollars, right? Is Pepe still doing well? Should Pepe's dog be worth hundreds of millions of dollars? Because the goal was at least to get this to 100 million, okay? Then I'm going to go to Twitter. I'm going to go to Instagram. I'm going to go to YouTube. I'm going to check. I'm going to start searching online. I'm going to go there and I'm going to search in the actual Zeus. And I'm going to see, are big KOLs talking about it? Are people still making videos about it? Is it still being pushed? Or is it completely forgotten? If it's still trending and the videos are still getting 20, 30, 50, 60, 70,000 views across socials, then the narrative is still alive, okay? Now, the second signal are holders rising during the dip. So you can even see on a coin, you can go to holder scan, and I can see here, if I go and I take Baylor, just for a different example, right? I can see that they have, this is insane. They have over 10,000 holders, and they have over 10,000 holders on this coin. And so you can see even on the dip right now, like there's still, it's going up and up and up and up in terms of holder count. Now they have over 10,000 holders. I know that I want to keep bidding this coin because getting over 10,000 holders is really fucking difficult. Okay. Now, if holders are increasing, which it was here, even though the price was going down, that is always means that smart money is accumulating, that the coin is going to pump. So there's good confluence there. Okay. Now the third signal is momentum shift. This is where most people mess up. They see a dip and they immediately blast in. You want to wait for a momentum shift. You want to make sure that you can see that sellers are actually exhausted. So if I look here, even I bid this too early. I felt that at $4 or $5 million, this was going to be like seller's exhaustion, but it wasn't. It went all the way back to $2 million. And so you have to make sure that you have enough money to start buying in slowly rather than basically full sending into like one DCA clip. So you want to do it over time, right? So once you see all of these things happening in a row, this is my confirmation that, okay, I want to get into the coin. The narrative's still there. The holder count's increasing. It's gone down 50, all the way 50 to 80%, and people are looking to still accumulate. And then that is where I end up buying, and that is why we are in like pretty big profits, like on Valor, up 8.7K. You can see I was buying over here a bunch, and then obviously like I was buying a bunch here, and then I needed 1K for something else that I had to sell a little bit because I just ran out of money in my Axiom wallet. But nonetheless, this is what you want to look for, okay? So now here's the thing with trades like Valor and Zeus and all these coins. Once I find my position, I don't just sit here all day and stare at the charts. I set alerts, I wait. Most people panic during consolidation periods. They see it go sideways, even break even. If your thesis is valid, you should just wait and hold until your exit signal. So what is the exit signal, okay? This is where most people basically fuck up and fumble the bag. They nail their entries. We get in at a good price, but they don't know when to sell. So this is mostly the three tiers that I use. Okay. So when it's viral across all platforms, not just Twitter, everywhere. Your timeline is flooded. You're seeing non-crypto friends talking about the meme like a chill guy. It's going everywhere. Something else could be a validation, which is that we think World Elite Financial is going to end up bidding Valor chart. Will it happen? I don't know, but I hope so. And I do think it will, truly. We want to basically see that this is also getting hundreds of thousands of views across social media, that when people are posting about it, people are actually getting views. When people are tweeting about it, it's getting views. So if I go and I search up the coin Valor, I just want to see that people are still tweeting about it. It's getting 18,000 impressions. It says Eagle just surpassed 10,000 holders, which is really insane. Gordon's talking about it. He has almost 1 million followers. So this is where I'm like, okay, it's still intact. So now that I have my entries, I don't just want to look at the chart. I want to be really systematical, and I want to make sure that normies are going to eventually come and bid this coin. And once it's getting hundreds of thousands of views, once this, in my opinion, goes at least back to all-time highs, like $15 million market cap, then is when I want to go and sell, right? Because they're going to FOMO at any price. And so you want to sell into hype. Now, this is also what happened with Italian Brain Rot, which is a coin that we were in a little while ago, but we had bought it super early. As we did like a 7x on this. We had bought it, I can't remember exactly, around a $1 million market cap, I believe. I think I sold. Okay, so this was another coin we entered into, quarter zip. So you can see we went and scanned this yesterday at 12:58 p.m. It went all the way, and we scanned it at an 83K market cap. Okay. So to put this in perspective, we scanned this and had a signal for it over here, basically even lower here. And then it went and ended up doing 1,030%. So we ended up doing about a 10x on this over 5 days from one of our analysts, WNM. And so what we did here, and what he did, and he's really good at this, is he went on TikTok and he saw that all of these order zip videos were going viral across social media, TikTok, Instagram. And even if we look up a trend here, you're going to be able to see a bunch of videos that have millions of views, 2.3 million views, 5 million views, a bunch of views. And if you actually go through and search up like the hashtag like quarter zip on TikTok, you're going to find a bunch of videos about it with millions of views. So that means that it's obviously going viral, and you can front run it if you can front run these massive narratives that are going viral, then you can make a lot of money. And usually if you get into early, you get into it early, then you want to make sure that you are exiting when it's pumping. And so obviously WRM, our analyst here, ended up selling a bunch of this at like a $1 million market cap, give or take. So he got like a 10x on it. A lot of people in the group got between like a 5 and a 10x on it. But the thing is, you have to sell into massive parabolic moves. So what is a parabolic move? Obviously, like this is a parabolic move. It's consolidating here and then does this, goes was up 700%, for example, in November 15, and this was the 18th. This is obviously going to be a parabolic move, okay? So you wanna go and you wanna end up bidding this. So the last coin we're gonna talk about here was actually Dust, and this was at the time a little bit of a hard one, but we ended up getting into this at a $3 million market cap. So you can see here, I called this $3.5 million market cap Dust, okay? Now, shortly thereafter, it ended up doing the first run up to $25 million. Then we bought the dip again because it dipped down, like basically, I don't want to take the wick, but dipped down basically like 80%, give or take. And then it ended up getting listed on Aster over here, the exchange, and ended up doing a basically like 18x from the bottom. And so this is when it started to pump like crazy because it got listed on Aster. They were potentially talking about listing it on Binance, which obviously didn't happen, but the rumor started, right? And so they were bringing extra liquidity, and this is that normies were bidding it up here, and I was selling all of it. And, I ended up doing really well on a token like this, even though I didn't sell it at the absolute peak, just because we were buying it on massive dips. And so that's why I scaled out most of it and took a lot of profit. Now, the final thing that I want to do if I want to sell is basically like the mom signal, okay? So this is complete market saturation. When your barber's asking you to buy, when your Uber's talking about crypto, when they're on CNBC talking about why Bitcoin is the best thing, this is usually a psychological top, and it has never failed me. Before I take any trade, whether I'm buying these small cap coins, whether I go and I look at crypto in general, like the Bitcoin chart, and this shit looks pretty bad right now, to be quite honest, what I want to buy these coins at these prices. And oftentimes the answer ends up being maybe. And this is a little bit hard because it's not always binary. My answer should be yes or no if I want to buy the coin. Oftentimes you have an idea. If you see Solana at $200, you ask yourself, would I want to buy the coin at this price? If your answer is no, you should be selling some of your Solana because you're not a buyer. So who would buy it higher than you, and why would they do that? If you don't have a clear thesis of who is going to buy it higher than you, then you want to sell it. It's the same thing with small cap coins. If you see Valor at a $20 million market cap, would you want to buy it here? It kind of depends, but most likely not. So therefore I want to sell. Someone else might buy it there because they might say, oh, this is for sure going to $50 million, and that's fine. They're chasing a 2x. We're already up at 10x. Time to find something else. Okay. So I'll keep 20, 30%. That can be my lottery ticket if it ends up going to be the next big thing. But if it doesn't, then I don't care. Okay. And this is the same thing that's happened time and time again with all these small cap coins, is that you have to wait for massive. This is the same thing with all these coins. You have to sell into parabolic moves, but you also want to ask yourself if you would buy these coins at these prices. Because if the answer is no, then you truly shouldn't be holding it. Because if you don't know why someone's going to buy it for higher than you, then you are likely the person that is buying it at the highest price. And that's it. Those are the secrets that I'm using right now. This is a strategy that I'm using every single day to make trades. This is how we've caught Fog Swap. This is how we caught Valor. This is how we caught Ghost at the bottom. This is how we got a decent entry on Bold. This is how we caught Hood super early. This is how one of our analysts, WNM, caught quarter zip super early. And if you want to see the exact system I'm using in real time, where these plays are literally just handed to you, then you can obviously come and trade with us and join the mastermind down below. Otherwise, use the strategy I've just shown you in this video to make your first win in crypto, and let me know when you do. And remember, the market is tough right now, but you are always only one trade away. Let's go.